and in 2.5 days coalesce, create a team. And I do it all through improvisation, creativity to heighten their self-awareness, their leadership, their communication. And I remember one of the first ones I did, one of the guys who did it was a big VP of a company. And I always ask, what's your objective for doing this? I record it, and then I honor the objective, and I compose a retreat around the 10 to 18 people's objective. And he said, well, I think I'm the nicest person on God's earth, but nobody else in my company seems to think so. And I think I'm this magnanimous, generous person. Nobody agrees with me. So I need to figure out what's going on.
Your business's success depends on relationships with customers, relationships with employees, and relationships with stakeholders. What do they all have in common? They're all human. Because no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Welcome to the Human Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Ponto. Each week, I'll bring you stories, insights, and practical advice from experts that you can apply to your growing company and daily life. This week, I'm excited to connect with Michael Allosso. He is a master communications expert and self-awareness specialist who coaches CEOs, teams, and individuals in day-to-day communications, dynamic presentations, as well as leadership excellence. He has led award-winning workshops for leaders and sales teams all over the world and is a much sought-after personal coach. His client base ranges from insurance producers to construction managers, doctors to bankers, actors to politicians. As a professional theater and film director, Michael's keen sense of observation enables him to immediately provide his clients with practical tools to fortify their strengths and refine their weaknesses. Michael has traveled the world bringing his You on Your Best Day program to a wide variety of organizations and businesses, and has transitioned his program seamlessly to You on Your Best Zoom Day. He is a speaker and entertainer who brings life to any in-person or virtual event. Congrats on You on Your Best Day, and welcome to the Human Connection Podcast.
Carl Ponto, how are you, brother? Happy 5th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me. Nice to see you, Carl.
Yes, it's great to meet and have you on the show. And I think it's really important because we kind of gave away, we're recording this in the ends of 2025, but going into 2026, I think there's a bigger push than ever for leaders to improve communication and their ability to connect with their teams on a much more human level. And so I'd love to hear more about how you got into your work and the way that You on Your Best Day helps leaders communicate better.
Yeah, I agree with you now more than ever. Building bridges is so important because we rely so heavily on artificial intelligence. And because I've seen so many generations go from no artificial intelligence to a plethora. I started as a high school drama teacher, so my need to help people communicate started when they were kids. Teenagers, when people are struggling with self-esteem so desperately. And by doing theater with kids, you actually build their self-esteem. And so they felt more confident, more poised to take risks, to make choices, to be more creative. And from there, I went back and got my MFA in directing at Boston University to do what I do today, direct, choreograph, act, professional theater, film. And then along the way, Carl, business people found me rather than the other way around. And they helped invent me because they saw in me something that they needed. And the big aha was this idea of building self-esteem, building bridges to being able to more effectively communicate with people in an authentic, real way was necessary for all of us, and most especially if you're a leader. So by giving curtain speeches in theaters, by creating shows in businesses, business people latched on to me. And somewhere around early 2004, I switched my focus from show business to business with performance. So the same skills an actor needs, leaders need in order to perform effectively and to communicate more effectively.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because the context is different from like an actor on a stage or an actor in front on a movie set to the audience, but it's still that one-to-many communication and being able to kind of read the room and connect with them and understand how what you're saying is being received, and having the confidence to put yourself out there and be vulnerable and reach out to people in the way that you have to do when you're acting is something that a lot of people, especially when they're promoted to the point where they're no longer in like a role that's the best fit for their skill set, they're often feeling awkward and unsure of themselves when they need to be more confident than ever to lead effectively. That often is a recipe for trouble. And so I can see how bringing in someone like you to help with boosting the confidence and the ability to communicate makes their ability to lead a lot better, because not only do they have the technical skills, but they now have the ability to connect with people and communicate in a way that allows them to avoid a lot of the pitfalls that so many teams deal with when there's poor communication from leadership.
And you only isolated 4 of the skills that overlap. So you talked about, Carl, connection to audience, listening and observation skills, confidence, risk-taking, being vulnerable, going outside your comfort zone. But that's 4 of hundreds. Think about adaptability. Think about improvisational skills. Think about verbal acuity. Think about nonverbal communication. Think about the ability to take direction, to ingest direction and use it. Think about timing. When I meet with groups, to get the acting is fake out of the way, I start by asking any audience I speak to, what are some of the skills and talents you associate with actors at the top of their game? And we make that giant list, as you and I have been doing together. And then you know what my next question is, Carl. All right, if we were making a list of skills and talents you need to be an outstanding leader, not a good leader, but an outstanding leader, what do you want to lose from the list? And we lose nothing. And the most important word on the list is authenticity / believability. People think acting means to pretend. Well, look it up in your dictionary. Some dictionaries have pretense maybe as a 5th or 6th preferred definition. Latin scholars in your audience will know, Carl, that acting comes from the same root as action, means to do, to perform, not to pretend. We call actors who pretend unemployed. We don't hire them. So it's all about the most magic word anybody gives me on that list is the word immersion. So actors don't pretend to be the role. What do?
They become the person.
They become the role. Yeah. And so I'm not looking for your audience to pretend to be vice president of their company. I want them to be the vice president. I don't want them to sort of be a mom or a dad, sort of be a life partner when they feel like it. No, it's a complete immersion in the role. So you have to identify the role you're going to play and then decide what is you on your best authentic day, and how do we, with intentionality, choose that behavior so that we execute the role to the best of our ability. And that's why the comparison to the theater and to casting and to acting becomes so critical.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important reframing, like you said, about exercise of thinking of acting as pretending to acting as taking action and immersing into a role. And I imagine you have some great case stories you could share of people you've worked with that have gone through that transformation, understand how to better show up as the role that they're trying to be either in the company or in their personal lives. And what are some of those success stories you've experienced?
Oh yeah, I mean, you got hours and hours. Now I do every year I do a retreat up here on the southern coast of Maine. So I do 2.5 days where I take 10 to 18 leaders anywhere in the world to come together to meet, and in 2.5 days coalesce, create a team. And I do it all through improvisation, creativity, to heighten their self-awareness, their leadership, their communication. And I remember one of the first ones I did, one of the guys who did it was a big VP of a company. And I always ask, what's your objective for doing this? I record it, and then I honor the objective, and I compose a retreat around the 10 to 18 people's objective. And he said, well, I think I'm the nicest person on God's earth, but nobody else in my company seems to think so. And I think I'm this magnanimous, generous person. Nobody agrees with me. So I need to figure out what's going on. And so that's a pretty clear objective, Carl. Now, you take him, and another case study is, and I rarely take someone I haven't met before in the retreat, with the exception of if they come from a referral from someone I've worked closely with. So a CEO I worked very closely with sent a VP of his, and she came in kicking and screaming. She was petrified. The whole idea of doing improvisation horrified her. And the same micro messages that connote fear, connote anxiety, look like arrogance, conceit, disassociation. And so we start this on a Thursday night and on a Saturday night. When she came in Thursday night, it looked like she was separating herself, that she was aloof, that she might have even been conceited. It was quite the opposite. She was feeling really insecure. By the end of the first night, people were embracing her. And by Saturday night, she was perhaps the most successful person in the whole retreat, and perhaps the best loved as well, that she really put herself out there and made herself vulnerable and turned right around. And I warned the CEO, I said, you may not keep her, because she's roaring now. You better make way for her. And she stayed with him for about another year. And he said, you're right. She was too good. I had to let her go. And so I love that success story. And he was delighted for her. She was happy with herself. We were all happy. And the dude who thought he was, so humble, really humbled himself. He found humility, because that word confidence that often appears on the actor list, without humility on the same line, Carl, often comes across as arrogance, as conceit. And so I believe to be really successful, leaders have to live on the 50-yard line of confidence and humility. And it's not that we occasionally dip into one pool, occasionally dip into the other. The more we live on the 50-yard line, the more we're making a difference in other people's lives. And that's what that dude learned. He was one of my favorite people in the program. And when he was doing his takeaways, he even, at the end on Saturday night, we say, what did you learn? He started his takeaways standing at the top of a stage of a platform. And his first sentence was, when I came in, I thought I knew everything and I was the smartest person in the room, and no one could compete with me. He walked down one step. By the second day, I realized that I was in the company of people who could match my intelligence, my commitment, my leadership. He walked down to the bottom step, sat, and he said, tonight, I've learned that I have the most to learn from anybody in this room, that I'm at the bottom. And then he looked at all the other people in the room and told them in one sentence what he respected and admired about all of them. It was a brilliant act of humility. He had achieved his objective, and it was stunning for all of us to watch because everyone played a part in it. So those are two kind of mini case studies.
Yeah, I love both those examples because it shows the transformation that people go through from varying different starting points, because the guy thought he was already like smartest in the room. He knew it all. He was very confident, but was kind of unaware of that, how he was being received by other people was not what he thought he was projecting. And then on the other end, you had the woman who was very insecure and a lot of armor up and came across as difficult because she was trying to protect herself. But when they both went through this process and were able to open up and connect and gain that perspective or that piece they were missing, that they didn't even really know they were missing at the time, it led to this amazing transformation where they're both now stronger leaders. And I think it's a testament to the guy who referred this woman to you, that she's better than he could handle, and they're going to give her up because her potential as a leader was unlocked so much that she kind of outgrew the role in some ways. Is also
I love that you isolated him, because I have so much respect for him.
Yeah, it shows the strength of his character that he was able to.
Oh my gosh, is he strong? Because he believed in her so much. He believed in her more than she believed in her.
Yeah,
and he fortified her. And you also nailed it. The item, when we were improvising the actor list, the word we didn't say that's very important is called self-awareness. So both of those people are so talented and such wonderful human beings. Their self-awareness was low. They really didn't know how they were being perceived by others. And so self-awareness can only be enhanced if the people around you who are helping you to be self-aware do it through love, through generosity. And that's what You and Your Best Day is about. It's about us as leaders, through love and generosity, care to make someone else better. Leaders build, leaders don't destroy. So it's all in how you give that feedback. So a lot of the training that I give to people is how to give and receive feedback, because no one really trains us how to do that. And you think about, if we look at this generationally, Carl, when I brought home my report card and I got all A's and a B, you know exactly what my dad said to me. Why'd you get the B? That was his motivational leadership, and that was supposed to motivate me to be better, with no acknowledgement of what I did to achieve what I did. Those old forms don't work anymore. And we all need to get better with how we give feedback. So I need to tell you what you do excellently with great specificity, and with the same love, I need to tell you how you might be better with great specificity. What I find, Carl, is that many CEOs are very good in telling someone all the things they did wrong with great specificity, and then they put a veneer on the things that people do well. But Carl, you're a great podcast host. Well, yeah, that's not really helpful at all, is it? And nobody really likes that. Nobody really likes that sycophantic stuff. But when you give us data, and that's what I train people to do, to really look at one another, see one another, so that they can give specific data to help someone look in the mirror better, more sharply, so they repeat the excellent things with more excellence, and they start to downplay the weaknesses so they're aware of them, they delete them from the toolbox or soften them so that the positive things can grow. It's never about change. The word change doesn't sit right for me. I don't want to change you, Carl. I do want you to add to your toolbox. I use the word add. I want you to add to your toolbox.
Yeah, I like that, what you just said there about the way most executives and people that are running teams are giving feedback is based on a lot of things, but it's based on this old kind of industrial era model that really doesn't work anymore, but it keeps getting perpetuated. And there needs to be this shift in thinking with how leaders show up with that humility, and how they give feedback that lifts up their teams. Because when the leader shows up that way and lifts their team up, their direct reports, their teams, then they get so much more from the team's performance. And also there's the what the leader shows up as kind of radiates throughout the entire team. So everyone else is going to start modeling that behavior, and it really makes the entire business stronger, because the people involved are being seen and validated for, like I said, their strengths, and their weaknesses, or the things they need to work on, are being refined and identified, and you can adapt what they're doing to avoid the weaknesses. But you're not dealing with that like I said, veneer of feedback that is really just pointing out all the negative things and trying to slap on a bow to make it seem like it wasn't as much of an insult or as a disregarding of someone's entire character. And so I can see that being really valuable as well for leaders, just how to give feedback, and what can become either a really strengthening experience or a very destructive one, depending on how they go about it.
Well said, brother. Well said.
Well, thank you so much for connecting with me today, Michael. If you enjoyed this episode of the Human Connection podcast, please like, leave a review, and share it. If you want to connect with myself or Michael, check out the links in the show notes. And remember, no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Happy connecting.